My name is Jacob Elliott. I'm recording this as an open letter to Mark Carney. In Carney's speech titled Principles and Pragmatic, Canada's Path at Davos, I was impressed by his candor. His focus on sovereignty, global collaboration were much appreciated by most Canadians, myself included. He signaled that the Canadian economy will be growing steadily, as these values as the driving force behind our ability to deflect pressures from bad actors on the world stage. Compared to his counterparts in the political system, his approach will likely get the most out of our situation that we find ourselves in as the United States continues to force power towards the Eastern nations. He posed a unique question which I believe every person around the world should be asking themselves. And the question is, do we adapt to the changing world around us by building higher walls? Or do we adapt by doing something a little more ambitious? It's clear to me that Carney would much rather build a bridge than a wall in the face of uncertainty, which is an honorable path. A successful bridge is a feat which requires the mastery of dynamic tension under load, while a wall requires the mastery of static compression. These structures occupy completely different levels of complexity, and to put it lightly, a bridge is about 1,000 times more complex than a wall. What's unclear to me is, where will the material for the bridge come from? Who's going to build it and design it? At what cost and paid by whom? The target of roughly a 3% growth of the $2.5 trillion Canadian GDP stated in his address would represent a roughly $50 to $60 billion increase in GDP annually if we're successful. This metaphorical bridge, it requires deep drilling into our earth, construct pylons to support its own load. The pylons of economic growth are regular citizens doing the work on all layers of the economy 24/7. If they crack under the weight of life, then the entire bridge is at risk. To have this growth serve as a net gain for Canadian citizens instead of just investors, domestic or abroad, there would need to be structural foundations that are built to address a major gap before any bridge building gains could be realized in our economy. Domestically, there's a gap between Mark Carney's ambition to host capital from outside sources and the wellness of the Canadian workforce. Each year, the Canadian economy bleeds roughly $50 to $60 billion due to mental health issues and substance abuse problems. With roughly 1/3 of our population reporting the aforementioned issues affecting their weekly schedules, the targeted growth rate of 3% is a transformation of vitality from regular citizens to value for investors expecting their capital to appreciate. It's clear you cannot have predictable growth year over year forever based on a finite biophysical platform. This is clearly unsustainable. We're approaching a biological cliff where the most vulnerable are withering on the vine, while the most secure get to feel more secure. We must change. Carney's sovereignty and cooperation sounds noble, but true sovereignty begins with the individual's agency over their own health and wellness. Carney stands for strategic realism. His focus is on sheltering Canadians from outside forces. This essay stands for biological realism. All pressures, both external and internal, must be dealt with honestly. He acknowledges this by quoting the president of Finland, Alexander Stubb. The way forward is values-based realism. So I call on Carney and his team to do something truly ambitious. Move past pragmatic statecraft and focus on foundations which enable a truly defensible position on the global stage. Make Canada the place where the mind, body, and soul can be cultivated rather than exploited. A high-functioning and healthy population is a prerequisite for national security and sustainable growth. You've joined the Wellbeing Economy Alliance of New Zealand, Iceland, Finland, Scotland, and Wales. The first pillar of the bridge in the new Canadian economy should be transform us into an economic engine predicated on the well-being of its citizens. What that means is, instead of progress being measured as GDP growth, we should instead focus on having everyone have enough to live comfortably, safe, and happy. It means restoring nature and our time to access it. It means our businesses and institutions serve the common good for the communities that they influence in, or that they have influence in. And it means that we reduce the gap between rich and poor by allowing all citizens to engage in decisions which impact their lives without large money getting in the way. To conclude, it's time we stop living in the lie. We live in a world where power structures are deeply flawed. They aim to preserve peace by controlling economic productivity, sacrificing people and the planet in the process. Our problem is health and wellness aren't a byproduct of economic success. They are the foundations. And the moment that we invert our perspective on that, our ability to build a sustainable future will precipitate. Until then, we'll continue the Sisyphean task of degrading the mind, body, and soul in favor of orderly economic returns. Thank you.